It's time to boost your impact moat. It's what I coined your extra contribution to the UN Global Goals. Moat is finance jargon for the advantages companies have over their competition. It can be their distribution network, lower costs, their resources, technological or IRD advantages. You will get the need to know tools and techniques to boost your impact moat, your global goal contribution. Achieving impact. We have been working on it for years. Alkani over 10 years as impact investing innovator and 20 years of charity campaigning and fundraising. I read contemporary political history and have a master's in alternative development strategies. Manu started as a food innovator, design thinker, and mastered in creativity. She is now working as a facilitator in innovation strategies. We believe in innovation as a power tool for change, investing as a catalyst, based on impact data and standards. A rapid recap of the course parts. We now understand impact effectivity and optimized impact for cost efficiency. Our impact value proposition. Now I'll throw lots of data at you, from academic frameworks to benchmarks to assess your global goals contribution. As tools to tweak your impact innovation towards the global agenda. Then the impact business model, to boost your impact going to market, to scale. And last but not least, your impact pitch deck to fine-tune your proposition, business model for partners, and funders. Using the right impact and reporting metrics and frameworks. Impact Moat is your extra global goals contribution. As in investing, moat means your advantage over the competition. Let's do this, without having to assess the impacts of your innovation idea for all 172 global goal targets. Let's focus smartly. Impact Moat is about your global goals interactions, which can be positive, neutral, and negative. Your relevant sustainability standards for all global goals, for sectors, and for specific goals. Aiming to spark win-win, synergy, and avoid undermining your impact effectivity and efficiency. Giving you new mindsets to spark unique solution propositions. As in the end, all investments will become impact investments. That's a quote from Rogier Rake, a Dutch investment professional. Then, low impact and low global goal contribution will mean higher risk. Manu says, innovating is to make changes, introduce new elements in the production process, creating new markets, or complete products. Impact as a verb and noun is not static, but dynamic. We agree with academics Silos and Mayer that only innovation plus scaling is impact. In philanthropy and civil society, we have seen too many brilliant ideas and concepts go to waste because they were not picked up or did not scale. For this challenge, I will present academic frameworks for the global goals to spark more and better impact innovations. As the equation gets more complex, we need workable, smart decision trees. To innovate for more impact, seeking synergy with interactions for important sectors and subsectors and as many global goals as possible. Why are these questions critical? There are many global goals contribution claims that accentuate a nice and sexy impact, but ignore the whole picture, the net impact. The impact and greenwashing awareness movement certainly has a point. Global goal interaction can undermine and even destroy net impact. Sustainability standards are always critical, not to waste time, energy, and money, of which we never have enough. Looking at sector and subsector global goal contribution is a new and growing field, sparking innovations for all impact types and Ps. The fourth question is especially relevant for both impact innovators, investors, and multinational companies working globally facing global challenges. The challenge to scale impact for the global goals is huge, as global goals differentiate geographically. They are way more urgent in, for instance, least developed countries and for the underserved. Or on themes. Water saving is important where I live, in Malta. But in the Netherlands, where I come from, we have way too much of it. And that is only 1,500 kilometers away. Next up is a recap of impact innovation, understanding and optimizing impact. But first, take a break. A quick recap: innovation innovated from technological innovation, aiming to improve products, processes, business models, financing, to human-centered innovation, aiming to improve the user experience such as the customer journey, and solving all kinds of barriers in systems and processes that hinder people in effective implementation and scaling of innovations. And now, to impact innovation, which aims at integrating societal and environmental benefits through or in innovations. In this part, we add global goal innovation, building on the specific targets and indicators, and for specific countries and areas, as set by the United Nations, and adopted by all countries in the world. Even though you probably work locally, your impact might be global, and it is worthwhile taking the goals into consideration, especially if going global is your dream. The UN Global Goals are an integral part of the course, a compass for the global agenda, the priorities and long and short-term ambitions, defining impact targets and presenting indicators, impact metrics, many goals and targets, and are tasked for governments. But they cannot do it without us, business, communities, and individuals. Question: can you think of an innovation inspired by the global goals? Hint: companies' global goals agendas. Our example on the next slide shows how the global goals are changing investment finance. I made this timeline looking at impact investment innovations, based on non-financial data, impact reporting, resulting in ratings and rankings. First came cost-reducing impact factors, such as safety in the workplace and natural resources depletion. Examples of risk-reducing themes are equality and diversity and emissions management. Next came the rise of environment, social and governance rating, combining costs, risks and opportunities. ESG has proved effective to avoid shareholders' value volatility, says Audrey Choi at JP Morgan. So ESG raters often merged with financial risk raters. A milestone is assessing materiality of impact data for profitability and future-proofing of sectors, giving smart beta, return plus impact alpha for investors. It all started with a few thousand rated companies to nowadays, tens of thousands, and investors often using multiple impact raters and data sets. Global Goal 7 is access to smart energy. In this visual, its targets are arranged as impact types. Do good is affordable, reliable energy services. Do better is increasing renewable energy in the mix, accelerated by investment. Do less harm impact is doubling energy efficiency. And do no harm is ending our unsustainable and harmful reliance on fossil fuel. Forum Palm Oil explains the pluses and minuses of 4 dominant palm oil certification schemes, looking into trading models, supply chain, and sourcing. I added the impact Ps as assessment criteria. The University of Utrecht research certification to drive sustainable practices for cacao and coffee. So you can make a more informed choice the next time you find yourself standing in front of a supermarket facing labels such as Fair Trade, Rainforest Alliance, Organic, Bird Friendly. Certification labels for products, like chocolate or coffee, offer a guarantee of sustainability, but how sustainable are they really? Is paying a fair price to farmers enough? What else can sustain the ecosystems and the communities who grow these crops, so that we will still be able to buy these luxuries in the future? The researchers in Utrecht conclude we need more impact innovations, especially for market inequalities. Palm oil does not have to be everywhere. The Flower Farm's mission is to stop tropical rainforest deforestation caused by palm oil plantations. That is why, in its 100% plant-based margarine, palm oil has been replaced with an alternative, guaranteed not to cause deforestation, shea butter. The UN's Food and Agricultural Organization states that shea butter, coming from shea trees that grow in West Africa, gives the harvesting women extra income. So it is a product with great planet and place impact. Fighting deforestation, decarbonizing, increasing gender equality, decreasing inequality, and boosting biodiversity, life on land. The Guardian long read and podcast link at the back. Innovation and impact have come a long way, supported by impact investing. But the challenges of the global goals are enormous. We were not on track and lost years during the pandemic. Fortunately, academics give us great insights and tools to tackle innovating and investing for the global goals. Now take a break. Academic researchers did deep dives into global goal interactions that I will present here to inspire and support your impact assessment. The UN also reports on global goal interactions, for instance the interaction of the education goal and other goals. On the next slides, you will see examples of this academic work. Please do investigation into your impact topics and issues for new insights, as global goals initiatives and progress ignite new research approaches and fields. Nilsson and others developed a universal assessment framework. Howden's team made a framework for 3 specific goals interactions. Singh et al. Did a deep dive into Goal 14, and the Stockholm Institute managed to develop a materiality matrix for all the goals. On the next slides we will show these in detail. Right now, academic research is starting on the results of investors and their global goal investments, specifically the interactions. Dr. Jan Anton van Zanten published a paper on sectors and positive and negative impacts of global goals. And the Dutch Investors Initiative SDIAOP also presented a positive and negative impacts framework for a few global goals. They have an easy to invest in universe of listed public equity, about 8,000 stocks. Their clients are large Dutch pension asset owners, long-term investors, and they work with BlackRock, a huge asset manager and index builder. Indivisible, inextricably linking the goals. For example, ending discrimination to ensure participation. Reinforcing aids the achievement of the other goals such as access to energy to pump water or irrigate crops. Enabling creates conditions that further another goal, such as light for education, being able to make homework after dark. Consistent, no significant positive or negative interaction. Constraining limits options of another goal, maybe improved water efficiency can constrain agricultural irrigation. Counteracting clashes with another goal. Consumption growth can create more waste. Canceling makes it impossible to achieve a goal, such as public disclosure, transparency, and democratic accountability, clashing with national security interests. Do check out the article by Cordula Ott in the links page. Philippa Howden and others looked at Global Goal 3, health and well-being interactions, with 4 other global goals. It is easy to read, with clear visualizations and explanations of their deep analysis at global goal target levels. This visual of Global Goal 3 and 13 is just one example. A quote from their concluding comments. With so many interactions between targets, it is clear that government-led actions and policies will be important to ensure positive outcomes are achieved as frequently as possible and negative outcomes are minimized or avoided. This requires the development of policy frameworks that take a systemic, integrated, holistic perspective. And for us, impact innovators, by assessing interactions. This is the best framework I found of global goal interactions charts, a very complete example. Transparent and clear, focusing on a specific goal and all of its global goal interactions. But new research is published every day. Some highlights, this framework is presented to assess links in Sustainable Development Goals. The life below water, oceans goal is related to all other goals. Increasing benefits to developing states generates the most co-benefits across the goals. Ending overfishing is a prerequisite for the most targets across the goals. The Stockholm Economic Institute recommends choosing a subset of targets to focus on as a key first step, and provides suggestions on how to select a key set of targets. It suggests between 20 and 40 targets. Then score interactions among selected targets by entering guiding questions on each target. For example, for priority setting and collaboration, a question could be, if progress is made towards target A, how does this influence progress towards target B? Go beyond analysis of direct interactions to identify clusters of interacting targets, patterns, and network effects. And to uncover indirect, ripple effects when progress towards targets spills over. Positive and negative effects are the up and down arrows. The aim is to inform policies and implementation strategies. To prioritize targets with strong positive influences on many other targets. Raw paints is the new paint standard, enabling healthier, safer, and happier living by making the paint industry commercially and ecologically sustainable, and securing the world's resources for current and future generations. Raw paints is a mineral-based paint powder and does not use water in production or transport. It is a unique formula with 0 titanium dioxide, 0 volatile organic compounds, and 0 pesticides. The inventor, Willemijn Wertelboer, presents all the global goals contributions on the website. I organized them this way to show the synergies and bonus impact, and her strategic choices, boosting the global goals impact. Update: Raw paints suspended activities in the spring of 2023. It could not generate enough revenues and growth. I can't find whether this is failing sales or uncompetitive pricing, which I suspect. Go for accessible, affordable. Another globally scaling case, Tony Chocolonely. It states, it's simply not in our DNA to shy away from talking about pressing societal issues. This means openly admitting we're part of the problem. Sugar happens to be the inconvenient ingredient that helps make our work possible. To put it bluntly, while selling more cocoa beans is a win for our impact, eating too much of it is bad for your health. Meanwhile, we know that a poor balance between diet and physical activity is one of the primary causes of obesity in about 13% of people in the world, again linking to a very long list of serious further health risks. For Tony, this means proactively adapting labels and running campaigns to help Choco fans make healthier choices, and finding ways to funnel a piece of the pie back into the health system via the sugar tax, and, hooray, they are now testing nut-covered chocolate, contributing to the Global Protein Challenge. This impact interaction tool helps you boost your impact. What is it? An assessment tool for global goal interactions, which can be short and long-term. And impact can be local, regional, national, and global. How is it implemented? Apply to impact innovation concepts for both theoretical and real-world prototypes. Success factors: robust academic research frameworks, case studies, and progress report data on the goals by many. Just Google images and global goal interactions. I found loads of interesting sources. The good news: the super smart people coming up next are embracing interaction as a net impact assessment tool for investing. The Dutch Global Goal Coordinator appeals to Dutch institutional, that's big, impact investors, to assess goals interaction in their work. They will. Let's use the Stockholm Economic Institute Global Goals Interaction Matrix as a starting point. The visuals, colors, and chevrons indicate effects, such as positive, negative, and up and down. In its paper, SEI clarifies some interactions, saying for instance that Goal 6, Water, Target 6.6, makes a larger contribution, due to positive ripple effects, to Goal 14, Protecting and Restoring Water-Related Ecosystems. But it does not contribute to Climate Action Goal 13, but Progress Protecting and Restoring Water-Related Ecosystems does, which in turn has a positive impact on social protection systems, which are part of Goal 1, Poverty. And somehow the water goals clash with renewable energy. This has to do with hydro, water power. You see how complicated goals interactions are. Stop the video to think about the answers. Question: global goal interactions do not affect the impact of innovations. Stop. More false than true. Neutral effect is one of the 7-point scale elements, and some global goals seem immune for interaction. In the research of SEI, Howden and Singh, there are more positive than negative interactions. Question: the different ways to assess global goal interaction contradict each other. Stop. False. The frameworks we presented inspired each other, and used the frameworks presented for goal interaction case studies. Question: global goal interactions are mostly supportive, rarely undermining or canceling. Stop. True. When we look at the work of Stockholm Environment Institute, SEI, Singh on Goal 14, Life Below Water, and Howden on Goal 2, Zero Hunger. Also true for canceling impact types, resulting in zero net impact and negative scaling risks. Impact investors are now embracing the interaction tool and frameworks to assess their global goal contribution, and they have their own insights and frameworks. Next up are the most contributing sustainability standards. But first, take a break. Great work has been done on global goal contribution and the sustainability standards for profitability and future-proofing of sectors, subsectors, and companies. The standards are categorized as business capitals. Summarized here: environmental or natural capital, human capital, human rights and community relations, social capital, your customer and employee safety and retention, loyalty, the business model and leadership, process and operations, and intellectual capital, which refers to patents, etc. In slide 72 you will find all the standards. Before we dive into the 3 most important sustainability standards for the global goals, let's have a look at what the business capitals mean for Global Goal 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. They are for environment, air quality, water and wastewater management, hazardous waste management, and biodiversity. In social capital, human rights and community relations, access and affordability. In the business model, life cycle impacts of products and services, and environmental and social impacts on assets and operations. In leadership, system risks, and supply chain management. The researchers Betty, Consolandi and Eccles first did a high-level mapping of SASP's 30 generic ESG issues to the SDGs to understand the relationship. These sustainability standards are the top contributors to the global goals, according to the research. We already saw the importance of supply chain in the Impact P process. Product design and life cycle affects planet. Natural resources, how we manufacture and end of life, as waste. Assuring access, affordability and availability is the critical question to optimize impact for all. Place impact for the underserved. The supply chain has the highest impact on all global goals with 87%, next life cycle with 69% impact, and access with 55%. Unfortunately, these first 2 standards are infinitely wide, including internal and external impact, and impact created before, during, and production and after. This tool can assess both goal contribution and spark impact innovation ideas and directions. So let's take a closer look. Supply chain deals with internal and external impact in and of your operations. It affects almost all goals and directly your employees, suppliers, and clients. Also natural resources, such as energy, affecting transport from suppliers, for distribution, and sales channels. Supply chain management is more relevant, over 50%, for profitability of specific sectors, such as, and now brace yourself for the list. Consumer goods, for example textiles, apparel, food and beverages, agricultural products. Extractives and minerals, iron and steel producers. Renewable resources and alternative energy. Specifically greater than 50% material, for biofuels and pulp and paper products. Again, with material is meant a business or sector's profitability, risk and survival. A case, clothing and footwear. Good to know, apparel requires cotton, and cotton is one of the most common commodities produced with child and forced labor in at least 18 countries. And what for? To produce cheap, poor quality textiles. And even textile mountains, the European Environmental Bureau, Europe's largest network of environmental citizens organizations, made a 21-minute video about it. See the links for the hidden burden of our fashion waste. And more on sustainability initiatives for the textile sector and the aftermath of Rana Plaza in the links, such as an article on ethical fashion certification on EcoStylist. In part 1 we showed you life cycle assessment as an innovation technique. Now let's have a look at product design and life cycle for specific sectors. The sustainability accountants figure it is more relevant for certain sectors. List coming up. Product design and lifecycle are greater than 50% material for profitability of 6 sectors: consumer goods, finance, food and beverages, infrastructure, renewables, resource transformation, technology and communication. Check the appendices for details on subsectors. Product design and lifecycle materiality greater than 50 for these 4 subsectors or industries: extractives, construction material and oil and gas refining and marketing; healthcare, healthcare distributors and medical equipment and supplies; transportation, auto parts, automobiles, car rental and leasing. Fashion retailer Marks & Spencer's calculated the carbon footprint of its men's cotton underwear and polyester trousers in the life cycles. So manufacturing, transportation, use, then washing and drying by customers. For briefs and pants, the consumer use is identified as the most significant life cycle stage. But recycling textiles is effective, for polyester even 50% more than cotton. For wind turbines, Yang and Liu, researchers at Fudan and Shaanxi Normal University, calculated the carbon footprint of a 2-megawatt wind turbine. Looking at manufacturing, transportation, running process, and end of life. The manufacturing process is a hotspot for carbon footprint and the direct and indirect energy consumption, contributing 101% and 90% in the whole life cycle. The end-of-life process contributes -19% for carbon footprint and -10% for cumulative energy demand, mostly by recovering materials. Biodiversity is the current planet theme that is actively put on the investors' and top management agenda. It was always part of environmental impact, but carbon and GHG emissions creating climate change ruled. The IFC, funding private businesses' initiatives as essential to development, is part of the World Bank Group. It also stresses the importance of biodiversity on its website. The Global Reporting Initiative, that promotes non-financial data disclosure and transparency by companies, is pushing it too. It recently raised funds for biodiversity impacts disclosure. Robeco SAM's Sustainability Index mentions decreasing biodiversity explicitly in its annual yearbook 2020. That annually presents the best companies and sectors' performance on ESG issues, and Robeco SAM always introduces new, current themes. Biodiversity investment funds are launched as we speak. Access and affordability is more than 50% material for the healthcare sector, biotechnology and pharmaceuticals, healthcare delivery and managed care. The case on the next slide will clarify. Access is also more than 50% material for commercial banks, think of access to finance. And more than 50% material in infrastructure, electricity, gas and water. Global Goals 7 and 6, access to smart energy and sanitation. Read all about it. The easy-to-read article contributing to the Global Goals is easier than you think. By Eccles, Betty and Consolandi article, without the food and beverages sector. Or the series in Forbes Bob Eccles wrote per sector. For ye people that love to devour data, the research paper is published on ResearchGate. Access matters because medicine continues to be out of reach for an estimated 2 billion people. About 100 million people are pushed into extreme poverty because they have to pay for healthcare. The role for companies is access, affordability and availability. Pharmaceutical companies, with the resources and knowledge to develop and supply new medicines at scale, can ensure these are made available to people regardless of their socioeconomic standing. They have the power to address affordability by refining their access strategies. They can strengthen supply chains and support healthcare infrastructures. A critical role for access to medicine based on their size, resources, pipelines, portfolios and global reach. Question: did you notice the development of a more traditional, less effective COVID vaccine that can be kept in a fridge and cost €3 per dose? Versus the more effective, new mRNA technique vaccines, at €18 per dose, requiring extremely low temperatures. An example, the high cost of being poor in the past, the pricing of international money transfers, banking transfer costs versus today's wallets on smartphones. Access has hugely improved by fintech. The tool. What is it? Combining global goals and targets with their top contributing sustainability standards. The goal: catalyze synergetic forces to boost the impact of innovations. How is it implemented? Build on the framework data presented by Eccles, Betty, and Consolandi. A case study by Moat in and Investing, Global Goals and Materiality for Food Megacaps. Combining the mergers and acquisitions and venture capital funds with their global goal objectives and core standards such as food security. Nestlé mentions food and product safety, Danone workplace safety and diversity. LinkedIn post in Dutch by me, but the materiality matrices are in English. Please stop the video so you can think about the answers. Question: some sustainability standards contribute more to global goals. True, so keep in mind which global goal or goals you are innovating for. There is detailed data on specific global goals. Question: focus on sustainability standards advances the global goal agenda. True, as a checklist, or for inspiration, combining the standards and impact innovation creates synergy. Question: sustainability standards do not affect business and impact risks. False, the sustainability standards are a tool developed for investors, so they focus on business, profitability risks. Unfortunately, it isn't made clear if the standards focus on risks, negative impact or opportunities, positive impact. Supply chain management and product design and life cycle impacts are well understood for physical products. The platform economy creates better access to such products, more frequent use and opening up new competitive markets. Such as, Can I Sleep on Your Couch, and Airbnb, creating more hosts and guests. Or Uber, for rides and delivery services. We already showed you the sharing economy, where we borrow tools, book rides, barter services, sell and buy second-hand goods, etc. Now that mostly works on a local scale, but second-hand clothes are sold all over Europe already, through online order and distribution delivery companies. How much does that add in negative impact? Demand for urban last-mile delivery is expected to grow 78% by 2030, leading to 36% more delivery vehicles in 100 cities around the world. That will cause related emissions to rise by nearly 1/3. Tackling impact moat. With the 3 most global goal contributing sustainability standards, is one way to go. But why not stand out with a unique solution proposition, tailored to a specific goal or target? Chew on that while you take a break. Another approach, framework for global goals contribution, starts with the goals. Again by Eccles, Betty and Consolandi. Sometimes their findings are frustrating, because they find that extractive industries are highly contributing. Developing underdeveloped countries, creating jobs and economic growth for the underserved, and more. Sometimes surprising, transportation, mobility contributes most to gender equality. The questions are, 1. Which sectors contribute most to the all global goals, aiming to support sectors and businesses' transformation to more positive impact? 2. Which global goals benefit most, from which sub-sectors? Specifically for impact investors and NGOs and thus public-private partnerships, including governments. There is no progress in science or investment finance without discord. There is also research with different sector outcomes by Van Zanten. These are the top contributing sectors, without the top sector food and beverages, just because it had not been measured yet. Please innovate for these sectors. Choose them as your focus, first target, and tackle the challenges. Such as in Fan B, nutritious food production, without causing obesity or destroying biodiversity. Or in health, balancing hygiene and recycling risks. As hygiene demands often results in one-time use, so extra waste. Top contributing sector resource transformation is unknown in investment. It contains chemicals, containers, and packaging, electrical and electronic equipment and industrial machinery and goods. Non-renewable resources are oil and gas, exploration, production, refining and marketing. Coal operations, iron and steel producers. Metals and mining and construction materials. Sectors why high negative impact risks. This sector contribution data comes from the series of articles Bob Eccles wrote for Forbes Web magazine, with detailed description of all sectors and subsectors contribution, including for which global goals. The mean average is 24, so please focus on higher scoring sectors. This subsector, or industry contribution data, also comes from the series of articles Bob Eccles wrote for Forbes. An example, the technology hardware sector has an average global goal contribution and limited corporate social responsibility performance according to ESG, Sustainability Rater Vigeo Eiris. It analyzed 192 tech companies, finding risk of conflict minerals in supply chains and no improvement on environmental criteria. Their report shares sector vulnerabilities, controversies, and emerging risks, as well as strengths, innovations, and best practice. With performance scores and advanced indicators on 12 critical issues, such as energy transition, business ethics, and due diligence on social and environmental risks in the supply chain. Impact Innovation Inspiration. As are many ESG sector and trends reports. Question: do you know any positive impact innovations in these sectors? Do they accelerate impact? What impact type? Positive or negative? How? Disrupting a market? Proof of concept? Are they scaling? Hints: in finance, ESG data for companies on trading platforms. Or Green Exchange Lux in Luxembourg for green bonds, the Greenleaf logo for green investments at Nasdaq Baltic, and charity bonds at London Stock Exchange. In advertising and marketing, the Happy Activist, Great Vibes, and campaigns by impact icons such as ASN Bank and ASR Insurance. All Dutch examples. In education, us. Because we developed this course for impact innovation. Sustainability education is target 4.7. In transportation, electric mobility for public transport buses, 25%, and school buses. You will find conflicting data, so like everything in life, you will have to weigh them, balance, and decide how to proceed. What is it? Combining global goals with their top contributing subsectors. The goal: catalyze synergetic forces to boost the impact of innovations. How is it implemented? Build on the framework data presented by Eccles, Betty, and Consolandi. The case studies: the research for your relevant sectors, ESG leaders, their global goal frameworks, and materiality matrices. We create positive interaction from the synergy of Sustainability Education Goal 4, Target 7, and Innovation, Goal 9. We emphasize profitability, prosperity, and scaling, real, sustainable, economic growth. Goal 8. How EdTech platforms offer exponential scale potential, so access. Our basic global goals contribution wasn't great, so we tweaked the distribution and scaling plans. Tailored workshops are expensive and limit scale, unless we also train trainers on issues, sectors, or regions. Our relevant sustainability standards. Social, place and people impact, through access. Our business model and innovation, a wide and inclusive student and trainers pool. Governance, integrating investibility and new sustainability reporting regulations. Leadership, the 5 themes of the course parts. Environment, our direct planet impact, depends on our platform partners. A decision tree explainer. The global goals focus on tangible basic needs: access to finance, nutritious food, healthcare, education, clean water and sanitation, clean energy, safe housing and mobility in sustainable cities and communities, and climate action to save us all. The other goals support achieving these basic needs, such as responsible consumption and production. Up to the pandemic, progress on many of the goals seemed promising, but now, also halfway to 2030, things look gloomier due to setbacks. So we need to up our game and innovate for impact with vigor and smart fast tracking, using new insights as inspiration and integrate them in our impact innovations designs. It will not always be easy to find data on global goals and subsectors. This matrix shows the disclosure of data scores for subsectors made by the U.S. Governance and Accountability Institute. There is clearly work to do here, but the U.S. is working on reporting regulation, on climate disclosure and for sectors. Building on the sustainability standards frameworks. More on regulation in Part 5, your impact pitch deck, risk, metrics and reporting. About this matrix and report, the GAI analyzed almost 1,400 sustainability reports by companies, looking at the level of disclosure and categorizing the results on materiality. Please stop the video to think about the answers. Question: some sectors and subsectors contribute more to global goals than others. True, obviously, but complex to apply. Employment, income and economic value creation diffuse real contribution. Question: working with sector contribution for the global goals is not an essential impact assessment tool. False. Long-term real value creation should contribute to the global goals, which is ambitious, but essential to solve the climate crisis, inequality and lack of social cohesion. Question: subsector contribution for the global goals and materiality for profitability are synergetic impact catalysts. True, they both take impact into account, aiming to lower negative impact and grow positive impact, where materiality also assures short-term business risks and survival. In the upcoming slides you will see real-world examples of a sector-wide global goals agenda as it has high environmental and social risks. And two multinationals, Canon's Medical Devices, active in health, and Syngenta Seeds, active in agriculture. Sometimes, sectors or companies' global goal agendas seem to promise to contribute to almost all the global goals. Like in this visual, by the World Steel Association of steel-producing companies. Looking at the material sustainability standards, can you guess which impact type they face? Risk management rules businesses, so a lot is about do no and less harm impact. Because if they don't, the cost of doing business will rise or governments and regulation will force them to do it. Of course, government also encourages, facilitates innovation and adaptation strategies. Do good, do better, positive impact innovations for their material opportunities. Do check out the source of this visual, the webpage where Canon explains, step by step, how they assessed relevant global goals for the company and its stakeholders. They started with 65 issues, engaging estimating expectations, perspectives, and medium to long-term business plans. They added a materiality-based approach in 2022. Canon's main ambitions: creating new value and solving social issues by development of medical technology that contributes to human health and the prevention of disease, advancing security technology to contribute to the safety and security of society, protecting and conserving the environment, promoting the energy efficiency, utilizing renewable energy, reuse and recycling of used products, reduction of waste and prevention of water and soil pollution. This is Syngenta's second materiality assessment methodology. From their explanation, Syngenta regularly assesses stakeholder concerns and expectations, as well as the topics that we believe present the greatest risks and opportunities for our business. Our materiality analysis helps us identify where we can provide the most value and drive our strategy, and where we should focus our efforts, allocate resources, and direct our reporting. Our approach to identifying our material topics was designed using existing guidelines and thought leadership, best practice examples from leading companies, and lessons learned from past materiality assessments. The examples show how the global goals are an impact innovation technique in itself, and that tailored agendas combining global and company challenges and opportunities stand out. Just Google images, global goals, sectors, and company names to see examples. But now, let's take a break. Bob Eccles, Betty and Consolandi also calculated sector contribution for specific global goals. to support global goal investors and NGOs that are focused on a particular global goal or group of goals. This can also ignite original ideas, investigations, combining impact, global goals, and specific sectors. It is a theoretical framework, and real-world application always shows new surprising or frustrating realities and bottlenecks. And, just maybe, an eureka moment or argument on which way to go. So do try it. On the next slide we will showcase the Rainforest Alliance and how they work with the goals. The Rainforest Alliance envisions a world where people and nature thrive in harmony. Many of its causes are reflected in the global goals, such as the work with producers, companies, and governments. Supporting companies to operationalize supply chain sustainability commitments, along with a common approach to monitoring, verifying, and reporting on the progress and outcomes. It gives certificates to responsibly managed companies. Recognize the Little Green Frog? With 30 years' experience, it updated its approach with a new set of norms, definitions, and guidelines that help clarify what good practices are in agriculture and forestry supply chains. It's called the Accountability Framework Initiative, reflecting the collective experience of companies, NGOs, governments, and other stakeholders. It was developed by a coalition of more than 10 environmental and social NGOs, informed by an open consultation process. Explainer video in the links. The Philips Foundation supports social entrepreneurs that complement existing healthcare systems while solving care challenges by employing disruptive models and innovative approaches. This is an established Philips Foundation Impact Investments, a social impact investment vehicle that will support social enterprises through early-stage and situation-specific investment. We aim to increase access to healthcare for 100 million people a year by 2030. And we invite partners to join forces and help accelerate our impact. Now that's impact scaling. What is it? Combining global goals with their top contributing sectors, details in appendices 1 and 2. The goal: catalyze synergetic forces to boost the impact of innovations. How is it implemented? Build on the framework data presented by Eccles, Betty, and Consolandi. The case studies, sectors' ESG leaders' global goal frameworks, and materiality matrices reflecting their priorities and global goals ambitions. Their corporate foundation should add to that, build on their unique expertise, and not reflect a hobby of the management. Global goals contribution by sectors was calculated for all goals and specific goals. They differ per goal and can be high and low. The aim: support global goal investors and NGOs, focusing on a particular global goal or group of global goals. In the visual you see, education, life below water, life on land, and responsible consumption and production, and their most supporting sectors. Scores are over and around 130. Education is supported by healthcare, as healthy kids and youths in healthy families learn better. Also by consumption, apparel, accessories and footwear, building products and furnishings, drug retailers and convenience stores. Other goals such as no poverty and inequality are supported less, by concentrating on their top 3 sectors. They only score just over 60, half of the greater than 130 for life on land and climate action. Details in the appendices. With all the impact and global goal agendas out there, it is good to be alert for, too good to be true, impressive facts and figures, claiming global goal contribution. The critical questions to ask: are the actions relevant for the core business? What impact types are tackled? And what is the net impact? How does impact cost efficiency look? Is it a one-off or repeated? And did or can it scale? The checklist is a summary of Green and Thistle's article on greenwashing. It fits impact washing pretty well. Imagery, using images that are usually associated with the green message. Clickbait, often used in titles, but completely untrue. Positive labels such as organic, 100% recycled, certified, recyclable, without truth to it. Irrelevant claims, like when an additive is outlawed, and I once saw it gluten-free on a fruit salad. Red herring, a small part, unimportant for net impact. I added impact practice examples to vagueness and no receipts. The differentiation and contribution of sectors to the global goals is staggering. In Appendix 3.3 and 4, you see Drive Jan Anton van Zanten's global goal contribution for sectors, showing a positive and negative impact. I hope you find this inspiring for the goals impact type to innovate for. But first, take a break. You saw how to apply global goal interactions, business dimensions, and sector contributions, all with real-world examples. Please focus on the most important sustainability standards, such as access, supply chain and product design and life cycle, or the standards closest to your innovation core activity. Check out relevant sectors and subsectors and their top contribution to tweak your innovation and market it with a tailored proposition. Energy efficiency is the cleanest, cheapest way, says the International Energy Agency. This is a project I started in the autumn of 2020. I saw a patented system at an eco-market in Malta, but it costs 10 times more than this frugal version. The pilot was 8 cushions on the dining room roof. That winter we saved 50% on electricity, mainly not using the air conditioner in the dining room. About €700, 200 electricity units. As the succulent summer survival rate was good, I covered all the roofs of the house in late 2021. The next seasons, we really felt the difference. The house was much warmer in winter and cooler in summer. Last winter we only used extra heating between January and Easter, saving probably over €2,000. Achieving break-even. In summer we sometimes used fans, no air conditioning. I grew strawberries in spring and started a leftover herb plants garden. We use more energy in winter, which is the exception. Malta as a whole uses more electricity in summer for cooling, and due to tourism, which is the biggest economic activity on the island, many Maltese do not heat their homes in winter. In our house last winter we had saved about as much money as I invested in the roof garden. I could have been more frugal, but spend a lot on nice fat plants that didn't all survive. Now I know which do, and I am growing my own plants. Because when a fat plant leaf falls off, it will just grow roots. I want to experiment with recycled textiles as wrapping material. The type that is used for root bags or pouches seems very durable, even in the harsh Maltese summer. But I haven't found the material on the island yet. An experiment of mineral wool with foil does not seem promising. See Appendix 5 for the how to make. Now that we have tackled understanding impact, effectivity, optimizing impact, costs efficiency, and contributing to the global goals, our impact moat. Next up is the impact business model, a unique canvas designed for Investible Impact Innovations, followed by your impact pitch deck for marketing and funding. Please fill in our feedback form to share your experience, thoughts, and suggestions on the need to know parts, business cases, relevance of global goals quizzes, checklists and decision trees, innovation tools and techniques. The link to the form is found on the last slide. You'll get a post-it, cramming impact moat in 4 critical questions. If you have other questions, suggestions or comments, please let us know. Please fill in the feedback form and get Part 3, Impact Moat, contributing to the global goals in 4 post-its. Or this part as AMN ebook. Or for sparring impact innovation investability, contact Alkani at investibleimpactinnovations@yahoo.com. For group or thematic workshops and sprints, contact Manu at thegreensprint.com. We pledge to help innovators understand impact effectivity, optimize impact efficiency, make their impact solutions available, affordable and scalable, and contribute to the global goals. Our aim is to help you create positive impact with global potential. The SASB standards with the business capitals: environment, human and social capital, business model and innovation and leadership and governance. These tables come from Eccles, Betty and Consolandi's article in MIT Sloan Review. Contributing to the goals is easier than you think. These tables come from Eccles, Betty and Consolandi's article in MIT Sloan Review. Contributing to the goals is easier than you think. No progress in science and investment finance without discord. Another, quite different benchmark for SDG contribution by Van Zanten and Hewich. The marketing paper, Robeco's SDG framework, and the academic paper, ESG to SDG, do sustainable investing ratings align with the sustainability preferences of investors, regulators, and scientists? Authors Jan Anton van Zanten and Joep Hewich at Erasmus University Rotterdam, Euro Rotterdam School of Management, RSM, and Erasmus Research Institute of Management, ERIM. Van Zanten also works at and Robeco Asset Management. Updated November 6, 2022. From the same papers by Van Zanten. This is how to make a plant cushion for roof insulation. Cut shading into pieces of 1 meter by 1 meter. Do the same with weed mat and lay on the shading. Saw, cut or fold mineral wool slabs to 50 by 50 centimeters. And put on the shading and weed mat. Add 12 to 15 scoops of bark, spread out evenly, and 12 to 15 scoops of compost and spread out evenly. Fold weed mat and shading as if wrapping a present, using clothes pins to keep them together, 4 times. Pierce with scissors to slide in the tie wraps. Pull and tighten. Put the plant cushion on a grid of bamboo sticks. A square in winter to retain heat, and a star grid in summer to release the heat. Near watering holes, put the cushions on 1 cm by 1 cm wooden slats or reed to assure optimal drainage during heavy rainfall. This is your first references page with links to the Goals Interaction Frameworks articles. By Cordula Ott, Nilsson et al., Howden et al., Singh et al. On, and the Stockholm Economic Institute. This is your second references page, with George Seraphim's work for SASB on materiality of sustainability standards, the articles and academic paper by Eccles, Betty and Consolandi, and Bob Eccles' extended series of articles in Forbes on the sectors and subsectors profiles contribution to all the goals. This is your third references page with Bob Eccles' articles in Forbes on the sectors and subsectors profiles contribution to all the goals. This is your fourth references page with the Global Goals Progress and Data Portal, and links for the Impact Innovation Challenge and Silos and Mayor article, When Innovation Goes Wrong. My post on the innovation of impact measurement, rating and ranking, palm oil certification, Forum Palm Oil, and University Utrecht on sustainability labels. This is your first links page with Paul Tullis podcast on the growing palm oil industry and the Food and Agricultural Organization on the benefits of shea butter. Raw Paints site is still online, but best follow its founder, Willemijn Nijneiber-Wurtelboer, and her impact innovations. Tony Chocolonely Slave-Free Chocolate, the Sustainability Standards website, Fair Trade Clothing and Footwear, Marks and Spencer's, Briefs, the International Finance Corporation on Biodiversity. This is your second links page with the Access to Medicine Index, my post on Big Food, Divesting and Investing for Impact, the World Economic Forum on online shopping, and Vigio Iris, an ESG researcher. Green climate bonds, Lux Green, the green leaf logo at Nasdaq Baltic and the London Stock Exchange on sustainable bonds. The USA's Governance Accountability Institute. The steel sector for the global goals and Canon Medical Global Goals Matrix. This is your third links page, with Syngenta Seeds Materiality Assessment, the Rainforest Alliance, the Philips Medical Foundation, Greenpeace and Greenanthistle on greenwashing. Professor Robert Eccles, Betty and Consolandi's article in MIT Sloan Review, Open Access, and on ResearchGate, and Dr. Jan Anton van Zanten's work for Robeco Asset Management and Erasmus University Rotterdam. This is the link to your feedback form. And your incentive, a summary of Impact Moat on Post-its. Or this part as in book. Please share your feedback and insights with us.